welcome to another Saturday afternoon. Welcome to the Nerdy Collective. Now that I got you. So got a nice surprise for you today, Q&A with Alan Wu, and I hope you participate in the chat. Please ask some good questions. I see you boys in the background, and without further ado, let's get him on because I have some exciting stuff for you guys today. It's really cool. Alan, welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alan Wu. I'm the creator of the Shentu comic book series and the upcoming anthology, Shentu Memories of Spring. Welcome to the Nerdy Collective show. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. I am too. I'm excited you're here too because, boy, I tell you, thank you so much for the digital copies. I actually read them the last couple of days. Excellent story. And you got a new one coming out in springtime here, which is fantastic. Total support. Just so you guys all know on the chat, I'm a little excited. Yeah, G-Man's going squirrely a little bit. I apologize. Alan's link for his Kickstarter is on the top of the page, pinned. If you're interested, please go check it out. We're going to show you a bunch of stuff about what it is today, but really this is a Q&A about you, Alan, as well. I want you to talk about your creative side, all that good stuff. Let me get my boys in here. So without further ado,
hello, Alan, and welcome to the Nerdy Collective. I haven't got any comics around here at the minute because I've been chucked out of the dining room because it's full of decorating stuff. So it's all a blank canvas here. But I'm sure all the information you'll give us will be brilliant today.
Thank you, Alan. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Good to meet you. I also have a blank wall, so I'm right there with you. I don't even have an excuse. This is my usual location.
And the host of the most. Here we go.
What's happening, peeps? Good to see you, Alan. Good to see you, everybody. What's going on?
Hello. Good to meet you.
Good to not see you, I know.
You'll never see his face.
Very mysterious.
After show
for radio.
I like how everyone has their intro though. It feels very cinematic.
Yes, that's how I try to make it. They tease me all the time.
Oh yeah. Just wait.
No, guys.
If he really likes you, he'll do like a 5 or 10 minute one.
This is about Alan. It's not about me, you guys. So come on. JS Brooklyn, I want to say thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Theory 23, my man. Salute. How are you doing? Love it. Love it.
Hello. Oh yeah. So
Cool.
this actually I mean we're gonna get to it, but this is a small preview of the anthology I'm gonna be talking about. It's not, we're doing the campaign now as it's not done yet, but I wanted to print just an 8-page preview of one of the stories, so that, because sometimes I do some, small tabling sessions, and I wanted to print just an 8-page preview of one of the stories so I could show people like in person while I was talking about it. And so that's this. It's just a little a little cover I threw together. But yeah.
And I have to say, Alan, it's so good. I enjoyed the digital, and Deuce and Martin, It's really good. So I'll hold on. I got my other guy in here. Let's get my other co-host on here real quick. All right, here we go. Hi, Chris.
Hi, guys.
Okay, good.
Chris, I think that was the most dramatic intro of the ones I've seen yet.
Everybody has something a little special.
Very,
We
very
change it up
cool.
once in a
Very
while.
cool.
JS Brooklyn, thank you, my man. I appreciate that. Okay. All right, gentlemen, who would like to start? First, Alan, welcome to the Nerdy Collective. I hope to have you back again soon. Why don't you tell the community about who you are, what you've been doing, the stuff you've been doing since last year. You've probably been doing a lot longer. But please tell the community about yourself before we start asking any more questions.
Yeah, sure thing. So my name is Alan Wu. I'm a Chinese American writer and indie comic book creator. I've been a writer for my whole life, basically, but for most of that time, I was more focused on prose and screenplays, and it's only in the last couple years that I've been kind of getting into the comic space. I'm currently based in Las Vegas. I work in legal journalism as my day job, and then at night I do my creative endeavors. So last year is when I started releasing my first comic book series. It's called Shentu, and it's about an immortal rabbit woman in ancient China. It's inspired by Chinese mythology as well as more modern anime like Frieren Beyond Journey's End. And essentially, it is about the adventures of this immortal rabbit woman, Shentu, and the passage of time and how she witnesses the different life stages of her companions, and how she knows that she's going to have to outlive and move on beyond these companions that she's grown so close to. So that's the gist of the series, and what I'm here to talk about today um, is the continuation of the series. It's called Shentu Memories of Spring. It's an anthology about springtime and childhood in ancient China. So kind of a collection of, slice of life nostalgic adventures. Um, and it's drawn by a really, really amazing team of all Asian artists. And I'm really excited to tell you guys more about it.
Excellent. That's excellent. Look at that. Perfect. Perfect. All right, guys. Simi, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Enjoy the show. If you got some questions, please ask. There's another creative young lady right there. She does a lot of art, does paintings. It's really good. All right, gentlemen, who wants to start first?
I'll start. So, real quick,
Okay.
Alan, I'm just curious, who were your influences? Like, what made you decide to wanted to get into comics?
It was a very gradual process. Because again, I was more on the screenwriting side of things. Shentu, I actually wrote it as an animated pilot initially. It was one of the first, the earlier screenplays I wrote. Actually, I just tried to put all my favorite things into a story, and this is the result that came out. But comics, well, I started reading comics or I started really reading comics like 2 or 3 years ago, and I realized I love the medium, and it still took me like a year or so to put together. Like I like writing and I like comics, so maybe I should try and write comics. Um, and so I just started adapting Gentoo into a comic, and it was a very tentative process to begin with. Like I didn't fully commit. I just thought, like screenwriting is my main thing, but I'm just gonna try adapting a page or two to see how it goes. Um, and I really fell in love with the process. And now, just over the last couple of years, I've been committing more and more. Like I still love, screenwriting in other formats as well, but indie comics is so hands-on, and it's so tangible. Like you put your story out there into the world, page by page, book by book, and it's been very fulfilling. And now I just kind of want to do this for as long as I can. I see the question in the chat about how to get the books.
How to acquire the books that are published to date and what's next.
Yeah, so I will, let me talk through this quickly, but I'm gonna throw a link to the Kickstarter, because that's kind of like I don't know if I can post this link here. Actually, it might be in the video description.
It is. It's linked to the very top. I got it linked on the top, gentlemen, and everybody in the chat.
So the Kickstarter is, if you want to get what I'm working on, the Kickstarter is kind of the prime place to go right now, because the campaign itself is for the upcoming anthology, but you can also get the previous issues through there as well. So there are 2 issues released so far, issues 1 and 2, which came out in September. And what's next is this anthology on Kickstarter.
You got me excited because it like left me like I wanted more. I read them and I'm like, I want more.
Yeah, issue 2, I mean, it just like issue 2 is basically the end of the prologue, right? So it just feels like the beginning of a grand adventure is the
Yeah,
idea.
Martin Deuce, Chris, I'll tell you now, we'll talk about it after the show, but I read the digital copies of it and it's the art and the story is excellent. It's really good. Yeah, there you go, buddy. Yep.
Yeah. So that's my website, and you can actually, so you can, I have a Shopify store that you can purchase copies of the comic on.
Also, everybody, Alan, don't mean to interrupt. I have all of your links, even for your Shopify. All that's down below in the description below. Alan's all his information is right there, including the chat. So if you want to buy one today, pre-order one today, you definitely can. And check out his links down below. All of his information is right there, so you can actually click on it and know who Alan's all about. Alan, we got you.
Yeah. I was just gonna say. So I mean, like I welcome and appreciate support through any means, of course. So the Shopify is there right now while the Kickstarter campaign is active. It helps me out a bit more if things go through the Kickstarter.
Yep.
So if you want to pick up the older issues, it just would help me out a little bit more if you go through Kickstarter. And but if you want the comics sooner, like the older issues, I could even send those like a little bit early instead of having to wait until shipping with everything else.
Excellent. Gentlemen?
Where would you like to be dream to be in 5 years' time?
5 years' time. So this like little bit of a tangent, but I've heard that there's supposed to be like they're saying they're gonna make a high-speed rail between Vegas and LA, like ahead of I think the 2028 Olympics.
Yeah, I've heard this too.
And well, we'll see if that happens. But my answer of where I'm gonna be in 5 years, like I'm gonna say either Vegas or LA, but like ideally, dream wise, like maybe both if they have the high speed rail up and working, because the last year or so I've been kind of torn between LA and Vegas. It feels a little bit like LA is where the screenwriting action is, and then comics I can do from anywhere, but like my base for that has been in Vegas. And ideally I would love to be doing both of these mediums, so I can just like imagine that, like, physically kind of bounce between LA and Vegas maybe, and creatively, I mean, the last year has been pretty good for my momentum as just an emerging indie comic book creator. In 5 years I'd love to just have more of my series up and running out there in the world. I know for a lot of comic book writers, the dream is to write for like the big 2 companies or even other publishers. I'd love to do some of that as well, but a lot of that is also kind of out of my immediate control, like whether or not I get attention from editors. So even though that's a nice dream, like I also want to be putting my focus into what I can control, which is just my own series.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's great.
Chris?
Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. Do you have any goals? Do you have any goals in life? What is your main goal? What do you want to do in life? What do you want to be? Like, I know Martin was mentioning, in 5 years, but do you have any life goals?
Say like 50 year goals.
Yeah.
Where do I want to be in 50 years?
Yeah, 50 years.
I'll say my goals have shifted a lot over the course of my life. Like I feel like there's times when I've been very ambitious, sometimes when I've been much less ambitious. Let me take a break from this question and just answer this one from Travis, and then I'll
Sure.
return to it. So putting together a screenplay together to make a movie from the comic. So that is something I would be open to doing, something I would like to do. Again, I actually wrote this story in its original form as a pilot for an animated show. So in some ways, it was originally supposed to be, a TV show or a movie. So it would be kind of full circle in a way to adapt it back into, the TV show or movie. Um, for some writers, they're part of the appeal of making a comic is that you're creating IP. I'd say animation probably. So part of the appeal is that you're making, an IP that can hopefully, help it be picked up as a show or a movie. And I think there's nothing wrong with having that kind of hope. But like to me, it's also important to like respect, the comic for what it is, rather than just using it as a stepping stone to adapt into film and TV. So when I think about these stories, like on all my comics, like if I had the chance to adapt them, I would love to do that. But also, like to me, like the comic is also like the fully realized version. And but let me go back to my life dreams. Is a very grand question. I,
Yes, your life dream.
so I I I think my dreams are relatively simple. Like I mean, there's a lot of things that would be nice to have. Like I do want to have success as a creative. I want people to read my stories and like them. But on a more personal level, like I just want to um I don't know, just be content overall and just be good to people in my life. I feel like people kind of
Excellent.
get stressed more about questions of like, oh, what is like the purpose of life, or like what am I like
Yes.
meant to do, or what like.
Yep.
But the to get a little bit philosophical about it, I feel like when you look at most other organisms in the world, like not just animals, but like plants and trees, like they don't stress as much about like what is my divine purpose in life, like I have to be famous or successful. It's enough just to survive,
Yeah. Yep.
and
Be
so
happy in the
like
moment.
so I think like it's there's a lot of, again, there's like a lot of like stretch goals in a way, where it's like like there's stuff I want to do that would be cool and fun, but like fundamentally, like I think if I can have like a pretty peaceful existence and just try and be a positive force in people's lives, then like I'd say that would be a life well lived.
Excellent. Okay, guys. Said I have a surprise for you. Ready, Alan? Here it comes.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
let's see it.
Now, while we're all talking about Alan's project, here you go. Here's a little bit of a boom kick up.
Alan Wu is a talented Chinese-American writer and comic creator. He is based in Las Vegas and has published his first comic series, Shentu. Alan publishes his work through his imprint, Tortoise Hair Comics. In his free time, he enjoys bubble tea and has a fondness for rabbits. About the anthology, Memories of Spring compiles 8 short comics exploring highs and lows in the childhood of Xiaohou. Each 8-page comic tells a complete, self-contained story set in the spring of a different year. Together, these vignettes trace Xiaohou's growth from a little boy into an insufferable tween and then a young man. As the years fly by, Shentu struggles with the pain of knowing that her time with Xiaohou will be all too short.
Do you remember Those halcyon days when you were so small. Just the two of us against all the world. You taught me to appreciate simple joys that I had forgotten over my countless years. We weren't perfect, of course. You had your rebellious years, and sometimes I was sure you hated me. We both made mistakes, but we did the best that we could. Day by day, year by year, until before I knew it, he'd grown up. Someday you'll be gone and I'll be alone again. But I'll always cherish those memories we made. Our memories of spring.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you put the video trailer in there as well, G-Man. I was gonna suggest we show it, so it's cool that you just had it straight up in there, and the opening part was very exciting as well.
You're muted, G-Man.
Where do
I'm glad you approve.
Yeah, it's very fun. Like the like the comic book like filter like you had like going.
Yeah.
That was very exciting too.
Yeah, I had a little OCD moment in the middle of it, but it drove me crazy. Anyway, the you guys, I'm telling you now. So I'm waiting to read that when it comes out. I haven't read that part of the story yet because that's his new stuff that's coming out. But his 2 digital copies that he has were excellent. I am going to buy. By the way, Alan, I heard you mention this, and if you get the opportunity, you should add like $5 for your autograph, because I definitely, when I order the first one and the second one that you put out last year, because I see you have the book formats, like what is a multi-pack of 5? I think it's 5 of issue 1 and 5 of issue 2. I am going to order those. I'll tell you when I order them, I want you to sign every single one of them, and I'll give them away on my show so people can get something like that.
Yeah.
Because guys, the story really hit the G-Man like right here. It's good. It's really good. And the way, Alan, the way you wrote it, you can tell you put a lot of passion into it, because when you're reading it, you guys, and I was reading the digital format, and it just flows. The whole thing just flows, goes right along with, and it's so good. So good.
Nice.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. So it was just really cool. And I'm very honored, Alan, you came to the Nerdy Collective. I really appreciate it. And the boys do too. It's something new.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So do you have any favorite anime shows or animes that you grew up that you're really interested in?
Yeah, quite a few. One Piece was a big one for me growing up. Like I don't know if how familiar you guys are with anime, but it's a very long running series. It's been
Right.
going on for over 25 years now,
Right.
and in a way, like I got my start with creative writing through it, because when I was a teenager, there was this online like text-based role-playing forum like set in the One Piece world, and
Right.
I would just write, essentially like, little fanfics almost of just role playing in that world. So that was I built up a lot of experience like just doing that. Like I probably wrote over 100,000 words of
Wow.
just that over the years. And then more recently, like I have a pretty broad range of of anime I enjoy. Like I like, the shonen actiony ones, but also just the more emotional ones as well. Like Frieren, Beyond Journey's End has been very popular recently, and that similarly deals with like themes of like not quite immortality, but like having a long lifespan and the passage of time, and like kind of dealing with the shorter lifespans of mortals. So that was actually one of the influences behind my creating Shentu as a series. So definitely another favorite of mine.
really, really good. So I actually, you also like a little horror, don't you?
Yeah, I would I would say that. I've been appreciating horror. Did I mention that to you? I don't know where you picked that up from, but I've like you, but I've been appreciating horror more in the last like couple years. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like I never
Like
even
I'm a big I like Rodney Barnes too. I don't know if you've read any of his stuff, Philadelphia.
that I'm not familiar with.
Check it out. If you get an opportunity. He's pretty good.
Yeah, like horror, like I've just been appreciating it more because I feel like I
Something's
usually
children.
like yeah, something's killing the children. I love for sure. Like with horror, like when I'm not actively reading or watching it, like I'm usually not thinking like, oh, I could go for some horror right now. But when I am in the middle of watching it or reading it, I just feel like this is like it's so much more like actively engaging than other genres, just because like I don't know, like you know the sheer horror factor, right? And you're like on the edge of your seat. So now, like I just appreciate it a lot as a genre.
Good. Good.
Yeah. He-Man and I are big horror fans and medium. So
Do you guys have you watched the Terrifier series?
Yes.
Like
I'm
that
not-
is
That's go ahead, Deuce.
no, I was just gonna say that's just the gore fest mostly.
Yes.
it is like I went into watching the second one without knowing anything about it. It was like
that was disturbing.
Like it was traumatic, but like I like still came back for the third one. So like I guess like I'm just on board now. Like it's like there's some wild stuff happening in horror genre for sure.
That's for like
absolutely
that whole series has been like shock and awe. To me, it's showing great special effects, but it's that's a little rough. That's a little rough for me.
And again, I come from a long line of love and slasher films since I was a kid, but I mean, it really just gets to a point of like, okay, when's it enough? Well, I guess not ever, really.
No,
but
they just take it up a notch.
I mean, it's some of the stuff that they put out these days, either I feel like it just falls short, or it just is a bunch of silly jump scares, or if it's poorly constructed and poorly put together, that's a problem. But that one, like I said, is just more a gore fest.
Right. Alan, I'm going to put you up here on the screen, and I'm going to show some pictures. First, you can kind of tell people this book, your two comics. So I put this up.
Yeah. So this is the main cover of Shentu Memories of Spring. Again, the anthology that I'm running the Kickstarter campaign for. This was drawn by Eileen, who is just an amazing artist. She had the suggestion of doing kind of a traditional Chinese painting style for this cover,
Love it.
and I've gone on record to say this like multiple times already, but like when I first saw this cover, like it just felt like something I would see like in a museum, and not like a comic book store. So I feel like to me it really stands out, like in the sea of other comic book offerings, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
And this one,
and
I love that style of artwork.
Also, just for people who aren't familiar, the rabbit woman is Shentu. She's the main character, and then the boy who is also in both covers. This is Xiaohou, who is the mortal apprentice she takes on in the first couple of issues. So the gist of the series is that the first major story arc will basically cover Xiaohou's entire lifespan. So it starts in the season of the springtime of his life when he's a boy, and then we're going to go through all the phases of his life until he's an old man. So that's the general arc of the series. The second cover is drawn by Hai Ning, who is another one of my absolute favorite artists. She is the artist of DC's Spirit World series, as well as a few other ones, including some issues of Poison Ivy, and I think she did one of the stories in like DC versus vampires as well. But her artwork was part of what got me to start going into comic book stores and buying comics weekly. So to have her be part of the project, and she actually did the covers for the first two issues as well. Having her on board was already just a dream come true for me. And I truly mean that. Like before I had her on board, if you ask me like what's my like like end game goal in comics, one of those would have been to work with Haining. So to have her come on board for like my first project basically is like it makes me very happy, and it makes me think like where do I even go from here, like this is everything I wanted.
So if one of the two big publishers calls you tomorrow, and they give you any kind of pick of any kind of character you want to draw, who do you pick for the big two?
Okay, so I have thought about this. Probably every comic book writer thinks about it. My favorite
Right.
DC character is Cassandra Cain. Ever
Okay.
since I was a teenager, like I just thought, the idea of like an Asian badass like Batgirl was just the coolest thing I could imagine. So I mean, fortunately, she has her new ongoing going on right now, so she's in good hands. But maybe if later down the line they need a new writer to come on board, like I'd love to do something with her. And on the Marvel side, my favorite character is Magic, or Ilyana
Yeah.
Rasputin. She's I just like to me she's like also one of like the coolest visual designs imaginable. Like I like her
Right.
backstory, her powers a lot. I'm just a huge fan of her. And so funnily enough, she also just recently had her ongoing start.
Yep.
And so I feel like as a fan, I'm very happy, because these are two characters who like aren't like necessarily A-listers, but
Right.
they've both just kind of like gotten either their first ongoing or their first ongoing in like 20 years.
Right.
So like it, I'm just happy that my my favorite characters are getting their time in the in the
Okay,
spotlight.
and we have some more pictures here. Hold on. Tell us what this is.
Yeah. Okay. So this one I feel like maybe a little bit harder to explain.
It's okay.
This this is this pumpkin is from another recent anime called Dungeon Meshi, or Delicious in Dungeon, I think is the English translation. It's a series about it's a fantasy setting, and these adventurers go into a dungeon. So there's some standard fantasy elements, but the premise is that they cook the monsters they defeat and eat them. So it's like a show that's like it's like part fantasy, but also like partially like just about cooking. So this picture was taken in a recent Japan trip I went on with one of my friends. We were in a cafe that was like specifically dedicated to the Dungeon Meshi show, and this bowl or mug with a
I love
weird
pumpkin, so that's why
weird pumpkin face. It these pumpkins show up in the show and in the manga. They're kind of like just like a throwaway scene,
Okay.
but they're very popular because they look so weird. It's
Right.
very memorable. So they created some merch of it as well, and I
Cool.
thought it'd be a funny picture to take.
That's awesome, though. Okay, next. Here we go. What's this?
This one also part of the Japan trip, as you can probably guess.
Yep.
My friend and I went to like a Ghibli museum, and this is just there. They had some like photo ops of taking pictures in iconic scenes. Spirited Away is one of my favorite movies ever,
Cool.
and so I definitely had to get this picture taken.
Yeah, that's a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
And this?
Once again, not part of just my Japan trip, and also my Ghibli fanboying. Totoro is
My wife.
Totoro, Spirited Away, probably my top two.
The reason why I like that photo, for example, is my wife just got me to watch that for the very first time. Not even this last year, and I loved it. It was great.
It's so beautiful. Like to me, like Spirited Away is my favorite overall, but Totoro, like to me, it really like it captures the essence of childhood in such a pure and innocent and wholesome way that I think it's truly special. And in a way, that's part of the vibe I wanted to tap into for Memories of Spring. Just that kind of that pure nostalgic feeling of childhood.
And this.
This one, so
That's okay.
if you guys know the Mario
Yes.
video games, this is one of the Koopa kids. Her name is Wendy, and you can see some of the other Koopa kids as well. This was at a Nintendo store, once again in Japan. I just like the Koopa kids and Wendy, so this is me, just protectively cuddling.
It was cool. I liked it.
You did buy some, didn't you? Some of the cuddly toys.
Yeah, I wish I could have bought them all.
Nice.
I'm a sucker for a cuddly toy, so I get away with it. My children, they love it too. So
I can relate. My wife's a Yoshi freak. Her whole office is nothing but Yoshi and eggs of every color.
All right, so while we're like half hour into this, I want to show you guys why we're here today for Alan. So Alan, I'm going to show that video clip one more time. Okay. I'm going to do it again and later in the show. So here we go, guys.
Is a talented Chinese-American writer and comic creator. He is based in Las Vegas and has published his first comic series, Shentu. Alan publishes his work through his imprint, Tortoise Hair Comics. In his free time, he enjoys bubble tea and has a fondness for rabbits. About the anthology, Memories of Spring compiles 8 short comics exploring highs and lows in the childhood of Xiaohou. Each 8-page comic tells a complete, self-contained story set in the spring of a different year. Together, these vignettes trace Xiaohou's growth from a little boy into an insufferable tween and then a young man. As the years fly by, Shentu struggles with the pain of knowing that her time with Xiaohou will be all too short.
Do you remember those halcyon days when you were so small, just the two of us against all the world? You taught me to appreciate simple joys that I had forgotten over my countless years. We weren't perfect, of course. You had your rebellious years, and sometimes I was sure you hated me. We both made mistakes, but we did the best that we could. Day by day, year by year, until before I knew it, he'd grown up. Someday you'll be gone and I'll be alone again, but I'll always cherish those memories we made, our memories of spring.
I could hear that, and that whole her voice is beautiful. It was perfect.
Yeah, it's voiced by my good friend Kimberly Wong, who's a professional actress and voice actress. She lent her voice to Shentu for this trailer and potentially some future projects as well. And I think she really just did an amazing job of bringing Shentu to life.
Very good. So Travis here's got a question. Alan, how did you come up with Shentu?
Yeah, so the concept overall is partially based in existing Chinese mythology. Specifically, there is a legend of Chang'e, the moon goddess. So there's just some mythology around her, and in some versions of these myths, she has these little rabbit helpers who like help her create medicine or candy on the moon. So that was kind of like the the foundation of the idea. But I wanted to tell like to put my unique spin on the story as well. And I love rabbits, as you can probably gathered by now. So I kind of like twisted it in a way where like the protagonist was not Tanga, but like one of the rabbit helpers. And I really just kind of like put together some elements that like are my favorite things that I wanted to see in a show or a comic. Like there's the Chinese element, like the mythology, the general kind of like the more sentimental themes of grief and just having feelings about like mortality and all that, and all of that, just different aspects of media and stories I like, and I put it together and tried to build a story out of it.
So why
Excellent.
rabbits? Why did you grow up with rabbits? Did you have rabbits as a kid, or
Rabbits? Okay, so do you guys know, like, sometimes you like something and just becomes like part of your brand,
Sure.
like as a
Yeah.
person, and it kind of like snowballs, right? Like
Right.
for me, like I wasn't like I did have some rabbits growing up, but that was before like they became part of like my identity, I guess. At some point as a teenager, I just started like appreciating them, and then they and people knew to associate me with them, so it's kind of like a positive feedback loop where it's like, okay, I guess this is just part of who I am. And
Sure.
people buy me like bunny related like merch and gifts all the time. I think, well, I think they're I think they're adorable, and like they're also they're some of the cutest animals, but they also have like this like elegance to how they look, I think. So I just kind of appreciate them
They're smart too.
all around. And yeah, they just kind of like become like a pillar of like who I am at this
Well, I
point.
got a little surprise for you guys. Okay, Alan, get ready. Here it comes. Here's an example. Wham, let's add this. What's this? Watch this, you guys. This is awesome.
Oh, keep
What kind of
It's me under assault.
what kind of deer?
This is at a very famous park in Japan, the Nara Deer Park, where there's just a park full of these deer that you can buy these crackers to feed them, as you can see, and
Love it.
they can get very impatient.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you can
I
tell.
noticed.
They get a little aggressive there, huh?
Yeah, I was alarmed. And you'll see there's the one on the very left. I keep trying to feed that one specifically, but the other ones keep stealing it away.
That's funny.
Like, see, I'm trying to be fair about it, and
Right.
hand the cookies out.
And
They
look
don't
at
care about
everybody
fair.
staring at you. Everybody's like, "How is he getting all the deer?" I'm watching everybody in the background look at you like, "Oh my goodness."
Stolen again. Yep.
That was excellent.
You have your hands up so they know you're empty.
Yeah, they actually, I think they say like you're supposed to do that to see it, so they can see like you're out.
That was great. That was great. Loved it.
Alan, I've got a fun thing about rabbits, because literally, first time we've been to Paris 4 or 5 times, and when we was in Paris the first time, before we went to the Louvre Museum, there's a little run of shops along the one side, and as we was walking along there, there's this homeless man, and homeless people, they'll have a dog often. No, this man had a massive rabbit, about yay big, about
That's a big
about 1.5 foot, and it was massive. Sat on his knee, and that was his pet. Hopefully, it wasn't the case that he got hungry and ate it. Fingers crossed. We haven't seen him since, but that was his pet. This big, massive rabbit. The ears must have been almost a foot long, and that's one of my key memories of being in Paris. And it's just something you do not expect to see. So it's just a funny thing.
Like a very like unique like mental image for sure.
Yes.
That's one of those things where like, sorry, excuse me.
Okay.
like one of those things you see and you just think there has to be like a story here, you know, like, and
Yes.
I'm so
Yeah.
curious about what it is. Like it even makes me start thinking like, I mean, like just, I don't know, it could be a fun, you know, like a story to start exploring, just because rabbits, like I'm thinking about the logistics, you know, of like of keeping a rabbit when you're you know out there exposed, because
Yeah.
in a
You just
way, like they can, I mean, they're good companions, you know, and like they, if they're used to, if they're used to humans, like they're not necessarily gonna, you know, run off, or
Right.
when even when people come by. One thing I like about them is that they're very affectionate.
Yeah.
Like I have some cats in this household right now, and cats are very finicky, of course. Like, you know, like they, you know, they want your, like they decide when it's okay to like to pet them, you know,
Yeah.
Right.
and they get
Right.
tired like after
Yeah.
yes.
5 minutes. But I also right now at my parents' house, we have a rabbit there, and when I visit it, we have a rabbit there. Her name is Potter, and
Nice.
when I should have sent one of those videos to you as well,
Yeah, you
Peter,
should
but
have.
like, but when you pet her,
Love
like first
animals.
of all, like she just like she like flattens herself against the ground, so you can like, she goes into this pose that's like only for being petted, and she just stays in that. Like I have never like she's never been the one to like leave first when we're doing that, you know, like she's just
Right.
there to be pet forever.
Yep.
And they're just, you know, it feels like they're happy to see you, which, you know, is is a nice feeling to
Oh,
have.
I have to write down
Yeah,
something.
cats are definitely finicky with their time.
Oh yeah, you like cats too, Deuce?
Oh, I
You got
love them.
I,
I love them.
I like cats. I like cats, but they are picky and choosy, and you think they love you, and then you realise they're getting fed by someone down the road. Or I've grown up on a farm, or you're like,
Scandalous.
"Where's my cat gone?" And my cat's at one of my cats is still at another farm, and it stayed there. So, and that was called if my memory's right, that one was called Daisy, and obviously Daisy from Mario Land.
Very cool.
Yeah, we've I mean, so we've had like a total of like four cats like in this household over the last like couple years, but two of them are gone now, and we're pretty sure it's because like you know, here in Vegas, like, I mean, the cats kind of like, they're free to come and go from the house as they please. The two female cats, they like, I, I don't know why, but they just like tend to like stay in more, so they're not as adventurous. But the two male cats, they like would go out roaming pretty often, and then for days at a time sometimes, and then but both of them, like, we're pretty sure that they kind of got adopted by other families, and at least one of them kind of like took it and moved away, I think, which on one hand is kind of sad, but like I guess like as long as, you know, as long as they're being loved by a household, you know, it's
Right.
fine. They
Yeah.
made their choice.
As long as the coyotes didn't get them.
Of course I'm live. CJ, come on, buddy. Thanks for being here, my man. All right, you ready for the top 10 questions? You ready for a little game? Put
Yeah,
together?
hit me
Sure.
with it.
Okay, Alan, you ready?
Let's go.
Top 10. Dog or cat?
Gotta go, cats.
What is your best childhood memory?
I think playing video games with my dad, and yeah, watching him play sometimes.
Very cool. Snake or spider?
Spider.
Hold on. Ding. Yes. Obviously.
Well, I mean, gotta go with the rabbit.
Favorite sandwich?
Roast beef.
What was it?
Roast beef.
Roast beef. A kiss or a foot rub?
Kiss.
There we go. What number am I thinking of?
9.
Oh, 7.
No.
All right.
You were close.
Yeah, you were.
I was closer in the test run.
What inspires you?
What inspires me? It's a bit difficult to do for a quick question. I mean, just I guess
do what's on the top of your head. Just go ahead. What inspires you?
Ghibli movies. Spirited Away.
Okay. A walk in the woods or a good movie?
A good movie.
Comic books or a video game?
Pretty painful choice, but
yes.
I'm gonna go with comic books.
Okay, excellent. Love it. Well done. Well done. Look
Nicely
at that. Thanks, Jim. That was good. Gentlemen, you got more questions for Alan?
I see a question from Travis about my childhood dreams.
Yes, there we go.
So yeah, when I was a kid, the first job I wanted was to make video games, and that was like without me knowing anything about like the technical side of things. I just thought it would be like a cool concept, you know. And I guess in a way, being a writer is kind of, you know, adjacent to that because it's still, you know, creative and telling stories in a way. But that was one of the first things I wanted to do.
Right on.
Cool. So, Alan, who's your favorite artist or writer? How about that?
Artist or writer? Let's see. So if we're talking writers, generally, like not just comic books, I think one of my favorites is Truman Capote.
Truman Capote.
Yeah. Because specifically, Breakfast at Tiffany's is my favorite novel, probably. Excellent. Or it's I don't know if it's my favorite, but to me it's the most beautifully written. Yep. One of you know, I had read it for one of my creative writing classes in college, and before we read it, one thing my teacher said about it is that like it's or just someone else's quote about the book was that it's one of the most beautifully written like books of all time, and someone said like I would not change like 2 words of it, like of the whole book. And to me that just held up very true. Like I think everything about that is like it's a beautiful experience from start to finish.
Cool. And how about artists?
I would honestly say Haining is my favorite comic book artist. So what I mean there's so many to choose.
There is many, but you had to pick one.
But Haining is like, I mean, she really like she made me into like a modern comic book fan. Like I think just like with her art. So
thank you so much, Christina. I really appreciate posting the links. Also, remember, guys, to his Kickstarter, it's pinned at the top of the chat. You can just click on it, boom, it'll take you right there, and you can see exactly what it's all about. Really appreciate it. All right, Beta Ray Jim has a question for you, Alan. He said, Alan, what is your favorite video game genre, and what are you currently playing?
My favorite genre is probably like JRPGs or turn-based RPGs. Like I love the Fire Emblem series a lot. And right now I've been playing some Marvel Rivals, which has been very popular with a lot of people. I
need to get into that game. A buddy was playing it online the other day, and I'm like, this actually looks kind of fun.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Oh no, I was just we should play sometime if you're interested.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It's free to play, and it's I'm not good at it, but it's pretty easy to like get into like on a basic level.
Yeah, that's what I was watching. It reminds me of in superhero terms, it reminds me of kind of like Halo as an example. That tag team back and forth as groups. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, and I think it has just made it's really revitalized like Marvel in some ways in terms of like just the public consciousness.
Right.
Like
They even have Scarlet Witch in there. You can play Scarlet Witch. I love it.
Yeah,
That's
like
one of
I
my
mean,
favorite
like
characters.
it has magic in there, and you know,
Yeah, that too.
and another one of my favorite characters is Squirrel Girl. Like both Magic
Yep.
and Squirrel Girl, they're like kind of like more niche characters, but like they're both in there. So like I gotta support it for sure. It's been a lot of fun.
Cool.
I see Beta Ray Jim's playing Metaphor, Reef
Yep.
and Tazio. I'm playing that as well. Like I've been a little bit slow, but I think I'm in like the second or third town, the third one actually. It's been a lot of fun. I've just been a little bit busy with the Kickstarter and stuff, but it's
Yep.
been a very immersive experience. I love the characters. My favorite is Hulkenberg, but I also like the old guy. What's his name?
He's
Like
10 hours in. He
like-
just said, Jim said I'm loving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No spoilers then. But I love Hulkenberg. I'll say that.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, definitely have to check that game. I have to play that. I was watching.
It seems too popular for me. I often just go for the ones that have been on the shelf for a few years, and then I'll go pick them off, and I'll think no one's talking about it. I'm going to go play that game.
It's free. It's on Xbox.
Oh, I know it's free, but it just seems like every kid's or every person's playing it, and I'm like, I want to go choose some. I want to be independent. I want to choose something else.
You know what you should play right now is Overwatch then, because I heard that Marvel Rivals is taking all the Overwatch players away.
Yeah.
I'll have a look at that.
Do you have any favorite movies, Alan?
Yeah, I actually I specifically think about my favorite. Like I like to do like my top 5 or top 10 list sometimes, just like in my head or in writing.
Tell us. What is it?
So top 2 I would say are Spirited Away and Frozen. Actually, like I love Frozen.
Okay.
I love Paprika. It's a Satoshi Kon anime movie. So a lot of animated movies, just like in my top favorites. But I also really love Mad Max Fury Road. That's my favorite live action movie. I rewatch it all the time, and to me, it's just the greatest action movie. Love Interstellar. I watched that because they did the IMAX re-release recently.
Yeah.
So I went to see it in theaters again, and it's just such an incredible cinematic experience.
And it's actual real science. That's the great thing about that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's excellent. Keep going.
What else? I love Kung Fu Panda. That's another one of my absolute favorites. Yeah. Gravity, another space movie.
Ooh, another good one.
Yeah, that Gravity to me is just one of the most beautiful movies. I love the soundtrack especially, and that one scene. I don't know if you guys have all seen it, but
I've seen it.
There's one scene where she's like talking. She like connects to the person, like the Chinese guy on the radio, and they like can't understand each other.
Yes.
But she's like, this is the only person she can latch onto and talk to, and there's like a baby crying. Like I just thinking about it, I get chills. Like to me, it's one of my favorite cinematic scenes ever. It's just like, I don't know, it's such a beautiful moment of human connection. My second favorite Aliens. Okay, so unfortunately, I only have my first favorite Aliens movie because the only one I've seen is the most recent one. What is it like Romulus? Yeah. So after I watched it, like I did like realize I need to go back and watch like the original movies. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I did like Romulus.
Okay. How about Donnie Darko? You ever seen that?
Donnie Darko?
That one I haven't seen it, but I'm interested in it because like I've seen just like some like images of it, and it's like it's about a rabbit, right? Or like it's like a rabbit
Sort of.
entity, kind
Sort
of.
of. Sort of.
I mean,
Sort
so
of.
that that's enough to could get my interest right there.
Yeah,
I
it's
just,
really good. It's really good.
but yeah, that one specifically, I have not watched yet.
Got to read
I've got a
Watership
question.
Down.
Go
No,
ahead. Mike.
don't watch it down, God no.
That's a rough one.
Sorry, what was the question?
Right, the question is, you got a choice of 3: Star Trek, Star Wars, or Stargate. Which would you choose?
I'm by far the most experienced with Star Wars. Like the other two, I just like have not like had that much experience with. But when I was growing up when the prequel trilogy was coming out. So like even I feel like they weren't like received like too well at the time. But when you're a little kid, like Phantom Menace, like
Right.
Darth Maul's got the double lightsaber going on. That's like just the coolest thing ever. So I like I've just like Star Wars has been like a lot more just like in a bigger part of the media I've consumed over the years.
Well, in '97, I remember going to the cinema, and I haven't been to cinema lots of times when I was little, but I remember going to that, and I watched. I think I went to cinema with my friend to watch all those, and it was really good. I love the Star Wars. I love Jar Jar Binks, and people hate Jar Jar Binks, but I love him to bits. And I remember all the toys that were coming out. You could have a little Jar Jar Binks and throw, and the
Of
tongue
course,
would
you
go
had to be
stick
the
to
annoying
something.
one, Martin. That figures.
Yeah,
Martin.
so well, we've all got to be a bit irritating, haven't we? So, and I love them, even if people don't like them. I love it for the story of where it goes to, because I love Star Wars, Star Trek, and Stargate.
Just
all equally,
media.
really. Say again, sorry.
Just so anything that starts with star, you're
Anything that's space and
Science
just
fiction.
the adventure.
Love science fiction as well.
Yeah, science fiction. It's just brilliant. So, and that anything. But then admittedly, a lot of my stuff that I grew up with was Disney. So Disney, I love all those bits, and I've never. I still haven't. You just added another movie to my list that I've never seen, and I'm going to get dipped for that now. I've never seen Breakfast at Tiffany's. So,
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that
Classic.
one. Yeah, I think a lot of people are more familiar with like the movie than the book.
Yeah.
I read the book first, but the movie is also true cinema.
It's real good, Martin. You'll like it. I know you'll like it.
It's really good.
but then Harry Potter is very high on my list. But not the movies are good, but I read all the books, and the books are the best ever. Just love
I agree.
them.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. The books are far better.
Yeah, and way darker.
Yeah,
it's not for kids when you get to the later ones, really.
Right.
I grew up with the books as well. Like I remember once it got to the the later books in the series, like I think the Half-Blood Prince, like I read that one just like in one day, like when it came out. So I was fully invested.
Right.
I think when they get to the lake to get the Horcrux, that point is so dark. And yes, I'm not into horrors very much, but that would be a proper horror scene if they did that fully.
Yeah,
sure.
that's really like the more you think about it, the more messed up of a scene it is.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I see it. What does it say? Boom. Jim's saying the most recent D&D movies was quite fun. Speak with Dead. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. I enjoyed it.
They got it right. They finally got it right.
Because I think like people were like pretty skeptical about the movie before it released, right? Because it's
because the first one was a stinker.
I think like the concept, like you could imagine it going wrong really easily, but it was a fun time.
Yeah, it was fun. Absolutely.
If I said Aesop's Fables, what would that mean to you?
Well, actually, the name of my little comic imprint is
Yes.
Tortoise and Hare Comics. So
Yep.
there's that. I think they're very foundational stories for sure. Like and just the vibe you get from them is very like, I don't know, the it's hard to compare with that level of sheer fairy tale whimsical quality.
And the honesty in it as well sometimes.
Yeah, there's a moral lesson to almost all those.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. All right, Alan. We're legging out. Chris, you have any questions? Got in and out. Any
Sorry
questions,
about that,
Chris?
guys. Another day on the road.
Got any questions for Alan?
Yeah, listening to him go back and describe when and how, the reasons why he decided to do the comic, I was just kind of curious as to what focal point in your life kind of made you want to focus on springtime, as well as the adaptation going from your youth and the nostalgia going into adulthood.
Oh yeah, this is definitely something I can speak on. So first of all, I'm
Nice, Chris.
not particularly attached to springtime itself, but my plan for the arc of the series is to move through the seasons of Xiaohou's lifespan. So we're starting with spring because that's like the beginning essentially, but we're gonna and while we're here in the season of spring, I really want to go all in exploring like childhood and nostalgia and all that. But I really want to do like a deep dive into like each of the seasons and different like phases of life as Xiaohou is moving through those phases. But that said, springtime is the easiest for me in some ways, just because once we get to like autumn and winter, it's gonna be a lot more like conjecture on my part essentially, because I can explore those ideas, but like I'm not an old man yet, so it's a little bit harder for me to like draw from my own life experiences. But with Memories of Spring, like this is about childhood and growing up, and I have had my experiences with that. So with that, it's easier for me to just draw from my own personal experiences. And uh like the stories in the anthology actually are based on my own childhood experiences. Like one of them is or my childhood experience is there's this one time where I was mad at my parents and I like decided to run away from home, very dramatically, and I got a block away before I realized like what am I doing, and I just went back home, and my parents didn't even realize that I had attempted to run away because I was gone for what, like 15 minutes, right? So that's just like a very silly like memory I have, and that's why I wanted to write that into the anthology as well. So there is there's one story where Xiaohou, he gets annoyed at Shentu and he runs off and he has some misadventures, and then he just like comes back with like his tail between his legs essentially.
Okay.
I think we've all done that before.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, something I wanted to capture like with these vignettes from childhood is like not just like my personal experiences, but kind of like universal childhood experiences, that people can kind of relate to, and just
Oh, I
feel
related to it
nostalgic
right
about.
away, especially your first and second story. That was excellent. Excellent, Alan.
Yeah, for me, one of the hallmarks of good media, or like or something that can be very powerful in media, is when it resonates with a lot of people, but in a way where it doesn't feel like it would obviously resonate with everyone, because it's like if it's too broad, that loses some of its power. But when you have something that like people can read or watch and it like makes them think about something specific from their life, then that just creates like a strong feeling of connection. And I think Shentu as a series and a premise has good potential for that, because a lot of it
Absolutely.
revolves around aging and mortality and just thinking about different times in your life. And that is general, but like when we think about it, we think of very specific, like, you know, our own specific unique memories and at those times in our life. So my
Right.
hope is that it's just, you know, it's something that people will be able to connect with.
Yeah, it connected with me, that's for sure. And Travis has a question, or he said, let me see, he said, how old are you to be this successful?
Well, to be this successful, I mean that's, you know, that's subjective. But I'm 30 years old. I'm actually, my birthday's in a couple of days, so I'm about to be 31.
Well, happy early birthday,
Yeah,
Alan.
happy early birthday.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's coming up on the 3rd.
Very cool. All right, where are we here? We are rolling down. So here we go. You ready for the big question?
Yeah, hit me with it.
Here we go. Do you have any inspirational thoughts or ideas for the community as a whole? Your message, your personal message.
The community as a whole. So I want to try and say something that, you know, is relevant not just to like, you
Yep.
know, writers or even comic book fans, because like you know, like you never know like who's out there like listening to
Right.
something like this, right? Like I imagine it's a pretty diverse community. And so I think what I want to say is that like this January like has been, you know, a pretty rough time for the world, and especially the US. Like there's just been, you know, literal and
Right.
metaphorical fires burning, and it makes it hard to kind of pursue joy in a lot of ways, because for one thing, it's, I mean, it is just hard to like have, you know, feelings of positivity when so much is going wrong. And then also like it's easy to feel guilty when you're trying to, you know, pursue creative hobbies or just even engage in media when so much negativity is happening. But I think that is actually the most important time uh, to try and find some joy. Like you can't completely tune out the bad things that are going on,
Right.
because you need to be there to, you know, support people who are needed. But I also think it's important, more so now than ever before, to like to find, you know, the things that make you happy and not feel guilty about taking pleasure in them. I know creatives especially, like it can feel weird to like put their work out into the world and try and get people to pay attention to it when, you know, there's seemingly so many more important things going on. But I think people, you know, people need distraction, and they need media that just makes them feel positive. So whether you're making stuff or consuming media, I think if it brings you joy, then, you know, lean into that and don't feel guilty about it.
Excellent. That was excellent.
Nice.
Alan, that's awesome. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well said.
Because
Well
even, I
said.
mean, even something like
Yep.
this chat between us, you know, I feel
Yeah.
like it's like a little bit of an escape from like, you know, just
Yes.
the pressures of the world in real life. And so I'm just, you know, I'm
That's why I
really,
do this show on Saturdays. It's I call it therapy. It helps.
yeah, like I'm truly, you know, grateful to just be here chatting with you all.
It was excellent. And let's hope the world gets to see who you are as a creator. So don't forget about us little people when you get popular and way up there. Remember us.
Oh no, of course. I mean, like who, you know, who knows what's going to happen after this? But like, but either way, I'm really grateful that you all are taking the time to chat with me.
Absolutely. Hudat, thank you so much, man. Appreciate
Everyone
it.
deserves their time. So
Darn right. Darn tootin'. Okay, so with that said, we're like an hour in. If you guys have any more questions, ask them now before I plug his video one more time.
let's plug his video. Come on.
Any more questions? Okay, we'll plug it. Here we go. Alan Dispute.
Alan Wu is a talented Chinese American writer and comic creator. He is based in Las Vegas and has published his first comic series, Shentu. Alan publishes his work through his imprint, Tortoise Hair Comics. In his free time, he enjoys bubble tea and has a fondness for rabbits. About the anthology, Memories of Spring compiles 8 short comics exploring highs and lows in the childhood of Xiaohou. Each 8-page comic tells a complete, self-contained story set in the spring of a different year. Together, these vignettes trace Xiaohou's growth from a little boy into an insufferable tween and then a young man. As the years fly by, Shentu struggles with the pain of knowing that her time with Xiaohou will be all too short.
Do you remember those halcyon days when you were so small? Just the two of us against all the world. You taught me to appreciate simple joys that I had forgotten over my countless years. We weren't perfect, of course. You had your rebellious years, and sometimes I was sure you hated me. We both made mistakes, but we did the best that we could. Day by day, year by year, until before I knew it, you'd grown up. Someday you'll be gone and I'll be alone again. But I'll always cherish those memories we made. Our memories of spring.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, over and over again.
Yeah, when I first got that, when I first saw the finished version of that trailer, I also watched it just again and again because it was.
Oh yeah.
It
Oh,
was
thank you so
very
much,
special.
buddy. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And Hudat's got a question for you, and it is whether whether ever a growing Marvel and DC character would you love to write from your point of view?
Yeah. So again, on the DC side, my favorite character is Cassandra Cain, and I also think that would feel pretty confident about writing her, just because I mean we've got like the Asian background going on for one thing,
Right.
and also just like her mentality and personality and her struggles. It's the sort of character that I enjoy writing. So I would quite like to write her. Um, Raven, I also think I could. I feel like I could write her. Because like her being an empath, like that's very interesting to me, and I feel like that's not explored a lot in like most depictions of her. Like it's more like about her powers, and but like I feel like the consequences of her feeling other people's emotions and taking on their pain, like that is really interesting to me. And I'd love to dig more into like that aspect of her. On the Marvel side, I actually struggle a little bit more with, because I think it's important to think about like, oh, if I could talk to the publisher, like who would I try to pitch, right? Because even though Magic is my favorite character and I would do anything to write for her, objectively, like maybe I shouldn't even say this, but like I don't know if I'd be the best person to write her, just because like there's not that
Oh,
like inherent like connection between like me and her as a
right.
character. um but when I think of like Marvel characters that I could write, one of them is a little bit newer. Not Nadia Van Dyne. She's like the new Wasp that was like introduced
Right.
about 10 years ago. Um, I really enjoy her as a character, and I like how she's like not just like, oh, like the latest teen genius girl, but also she's got a lot of her own mental health struggles. And I mean she's also got the assassin background, so she's a little bit like Cassandra Cain in that aspect as well. She's a character who I would enjoy.
Cool. And then there's one more here. Come on. Travis asked, so these guys, he's talking about us. He's saying these guys know everything about comics. Not really, Travis, but are there any questions you have for us?
Oh, I've got plenty, you know, like, and especially like when I was first getting into reading comics a couple years ago, I feel like there was so many questions I would have like thrown at you guys, like how does any of this stuff work? Like, but for starters, how about this? What is your personal understanding of how Superman flies? Because when you think about it, it's like, how does it work, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. If you think about it that way, it is.
I've never honestly thought about it like that, but I mean, it you know.
What is he doing, right?
That's cool.
I don't know. I have no
Is he moving
clue.
his arm so fast that it's actually like a wing movement, but we just can't see that?
Well, he's supposed to be. Isn't his cells something like lighter? He's designed differently.
Yeah, like he gets energy from the sun, the radiation of the sun. So that's where he gets.
But how does that make him fly though? It's a good question. I really like that one.
The explanation for how he flies, though, right? Because it's like because you can accept that it's like some type of comic BS, but like how exactly is it supposed to be working, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's not like he's got, like I don't know. He doesn't have wings, so
That's interesting when you think about it.
He's got a cape, but how could that really help you fly?
Exactly.
Because I feel like with a lot of powers, like
the heat vision, cape would slow you down.
Like the heat vision, for instance, like that, I feel like is like very intuitive. It's like, okay, he like.
I'm just reading on what it says. It says apparently it says.
I've also looked into this, by the way.
It says using incredible strength to leap and jump great distances, creating the illusion of flight.
Well,
that's what it says.
I think that's the original Superman. Like because like to begin with, he didn't even fly. He just like only jumped over tall buildings or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But now he definitely does fly.
That's an interesting thought. Never thought about that. See, that was deep. I love it.
Yeah. So I've looked into this, and the explanation it's quite ridiculous. I think it's like he creates like a anti-gravity field around him or something.
That's funny.
What were you gonna say, Chris?
I had always thought it was due to the success of the Hollywood Wire teams.
Right.
It's all propaganda.
It was just a theory I had. I might be way off base, but
Or it could be CJ's theory: fart propulsion.
See, I think it's a fun question to throw out there, right? Like
it is cool.
Accurate, like comic book events. So
think about it.
Put that in your pocket.
Makes you think out of the box.
If I remember right, there was an explanation a long time ago that somebody had come up with from the scientific community in relation to it. It wasn't anti-gravity, but it was reverse G-force and using the propulsion to first break the pull of gravity to get off the ground and stay in the air. But the formula that they came up with for the reason why he can actually stay in the air was with his cape and his body, along with what G-Man was saying, because the cells being lighter, was just like a bird, and how the way that he flies with the wind currents is what keeps him afloat. The only thing they're never really to explain is then, okay, with nothing to push off or anything else, how does he further use propulsion to hit himself at Mach 1 and go faster and faster?
Yeah.
That all sounds like pure comic book nonsense, and I love it.
Right.
I love it. Nerds are us.
Like it's I think that if you're not experienced with comics, like you can be jarring because when they use like this bad physics, and they start talking about like vibrational frequency or whatever.
Yep.
But once you accept it, it's I don't know, you like once you embrace the goofiness of it all, I think it just becomes a lot more fun.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun. Exactly. And Travis is sitting there saying, I'm watching Heroes again. They just have their powers.
Maybe it has to do with him absorbing the radiation in the sunlight. Maybe he absorbed enough natural gas to it, and it's just seeping out of him, so it's propelling him
Like
upward.
he's absorbing like helium from the sun.
So that's an interesting question, Alan, because it just made me realize. So you actually you like science?
I'm not like a dedicated scientist or anything.
Do you like
but
astronomy?
I mean,
Do you like astronomy?
like I'm not really knowledgeable about it all. But like when I see something about it, I'll look into it. Like it's fascinating. Like I
Sure.
like science and sci-fi and all
Like,
that
have you ever watched or read anything from Neil deGrasse Tyson?
stuff. No, I haven't.
Pretty good. You should check them out once. It's good stuff. Very cool.
Go on then. What's another question then you've got for us?
Yes.
Or the chat?
Yes, or the chat. Any Alan?
And what more comic book questions?
Whatever you
No.
want.
Whatever question you
Video
want.
games, comic
Anything.
books, personal.
No, we don't
You
want to
ask
go
it.
there.
You ask it. I'll definitely answer. So.
Let me think. Well, I mean, I want to know. I want to know like what your personal favorite comics are.
Go ahead,
Strange
guys.
Academy.
Strange Academy. Oh,
So,
interesting.
so you'd probably, me gathering, you'd probably be a good writer for Emily Bright,
Cool.
and the struggles of her becoming, going into the school and everything, and magic and everything.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
that
That makes sense, Martin.
I have started reading Strange Academy just because like I know magic is like somewhat involved in it, like magic the
Yep.
character. So I'm only a few issues in. That's
there's not too many issues to worry about anyway. But
You're too much.
it could have been something as good as Harry Potter kind of thing if it carried on, or if it gone in and as deep. That's my thing, but it's still a good story.
It's a great premise, like I love school settings, like
Sure.
the anime My Hero Academia, just like superhero school, like it's really
Right.
fun. I think school settings like with like comic book fantasy elements is just such a great combination.
Chris and Deuce,
Favorite comics? Well, I got a bunch of stuff I read and I like.
just pick one. Pick one.
I'll say Ghosts.
Ghosts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
Chris
like Witching Hour, stuff like that.
or Witching Hour. Okay. Chris.
Do you have to ask?
Yeah. He's asking.
I'm old school, and I'm old school, and I'm an American. It'll never change. I grew up loving the idea, the concept, and the character of Captain America.
Nice. See, I knew that.
Always been my go-to above anything.
Cool.
I love Cap as well. He holds it down.
And my absolute favorite would be Silver Surfer. That's my favorite.
Someone was recommending one of the Silver Surfer series to me recently, so I
Which
want
one?
to check it out. I think it's in the 90s. Like it's like a I
The third
don't
series?
maybe like I think it's pretty like highly acclaimed. Let me see.
Oh,
if
is
I
it
can...
Morbius?
Jeez. Probably the second run.
Second run. I bet it's the
Probably.
second.
Let me see.
The first run was in the 60s.
Yeah.
Second run was in the 80s, I want to say.
Mobius,
had a-
Kirby.
Did you ever check Alan, if you want to check out something a little bit different with Silver Surfer that was actually pretty good because it kind of jived with the classic, was Silver Surfer Black.
Yeah, that's a recent series. Yeah, that came
That's
out
the
what,
most recent series, yeah.
4 years ago or so.
About 5 years ago.
Yeah, because
And those should be great too.
I know very little about Silver Surfer.
Oh, he's good. The
He's
classics, the classics from the 60s and 70s there, and on his 18-issue run, they're pretty dark. When you read them, they're really dark, and it's amazing for back then. And it did really good writing back then as well. So yeah, it's good stuff. But yeah, if you want to check a little something different, yeah, Silver Surfer Black. They actually have a trade. You can actually get this for like probably like 10, 20 bucks. This one.
Yeah.
This one's actually really good. This was Donny Cates, I think. Yeah. This one. And on this big one, the pages are super huge, but the art style, very classic 60s. It's a great book. Definitely give it a check. And it's
it looks. I mean, just initial look at like the paneling and the colors looks.
Yeah, it's really, really, really pretty. Let me see if I can show you a main center.
Wow, that's very powerful.
And like, look at, you can see the art.
Yeah, wow.
Really
I'm gonna look into this for sure.
But it's good. It really is. And you know, it's not for everybody. Not everybody liked the story, but I enjoyed it because they really, Donny Cates kind of played tribute to Stan Lee and Kirby and those guys who created the actual Silver Surfer story. So he kind of puts his own story twist into it. It goes out to be a little bit differently, but it's still good.
Yeah, I will investigate. And you know, speaking of you know, comics we have just lying around, I just remembered. So I saw this just like on my desk, and I remembered that Zatanna is another character I would absolutely love to write for. Because I mean, not I mean, it's not just that she has like the rabbit thing going on, but I also
sure it isn't.
I mean, that's a big bonus for sure. But I also like I like the aesthetic of stage magicians, and that like I really love like carnivals and circuses just like as a concept. So
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman,
Yeah.
amazing movie. I listen to the songs all the time still, but I love that aesthetic, and they feature pretty like I write about like just like circus or like carnival elements pretty often in my stories. And Zatanna, like a lot of the time she's actually based in Vegas, like because I think in this series she was like specifically doing a residency in Vegas. So I feel a little bit of a connection to her, like just like from the Las Vegas angle. And yeah, she's a character I would absolutely love to write for.
Cool.
I've got another one for you, Junk Rabbit. It's more recent, and because it's a rabbit as well.
Junk Rabbit?
Yep, Junk Rabbit.
Let me see. This one, I'm not sure if I've heard of this one, which is a failing on my part as a rabbit connoisseur.
Or whether you like it or hate it, you're stuck with the rabbits now, aren't you? So
you're right there, CJ. That was a good Silver Surfer, Ron Lim, and Starling.
Oh yeah, this is I see this is Image. The cover of the first issue looks really cool. Definitely have to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's actually a surprising amount of rabbit adjacent content in comics.
There really is, actually.
You saw Yojimbo as well.
Yeah. I mean that's beyond a classic.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Yeah,
Any more questions, gentlemen? Any more questions, gentlemen?
Can't really think of it.
I've got tons. We could go for hours though, so I don't want to bore him.
Ask one more question, please. He'd love it. Go ahead.
All right.
No, I was just thinking of comics that, because I'm more recent with comics, because I only started. Obviously, I've got my go-tos, which I started in the UK, and a lot of them have no one's heard of. But I started with the Beano comic, and Turtles was what I grew up with, and then I didn't touch it. Then 2019, I started my YouTube channel, and I got into stuff, and I grabbed hold of Scotty Young art and Strange Academy, but a few of them are good reads. One The Me You Love in the Dark from Scotty Young. That's only a 5-comic series. That's a great little read.
That's a great read. I like that too.
Radiant Black. It's a good one. You might not, whether some people like it, some people hate it because they think of Power Rangers when they think of it. And now it's gone out of. I'm gonna have to go on my tablet now. The other one's
Scotty Young does I Hate Fairyland, right?
Yeah, exactly.
yes,
So
it's
that
great.
one, I've started that series. I absolutely love it. Like I'm so excited to read more of it. Like it's such a cool premise, and the art is so distinctive too. Like
Right.
yeah, I'm a huge fan of that series.
Yes.
And now I'm just thinking a little bit of like not quite UK comics, but like in terms of like European comics. Some of the earliest comics I read as a kid were like the Asterix series and Tintin as well.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Asterix. I love Asterix. Love
yeah,
Asterix. Just a minute.
Well, he's really excited.
Yeah, he is. You lit him up now. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's
Very
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's from Park Asterix.
Yeah.
In France, we've been there probably 4 or 5 times now.
Yeah.
And it's got the what?
Get the
We've
hook.
got Idvix upstairs, but that's with Dexter in his bed at the minute, so I'm not going to upset him and take it. But no, Asterix is one of my most. If I could find the first Asterix comic, I would love that.
Yeah, to me, like it took me a while to even like mentally categorize it as like a comic book, because like it's just like such a foundational part of my childhood, and it's so different from like like Marvel and DC that like when I think of like comics I enjoy, like just I don't always think of Asterix immediately. But my stepfather is he's British, so like I had some of that like like European like
Yeah.
influence in media like when I was growing up. So Asterix and Tintin were some of my earliest comics.
Yeah, I grew up with a lot of Tintin. I remember watching the series when I was little. I remember going to the library and trying to get the next Asterix book, because there's little graphic novels, and I remember trying to pick them, and they was well worn and well loved in the library. And I remember getting those. And there's some TV shows that they used to do as well.
Yeah, I think Tintin just entered public domain recently. Either it just happened or it's going to happen soon, which is interesting. Like maybe it's time for a revival.
Yeah,
that use in public domain. Those books are a lot of fun. I actually I don't have it on me right now, but my car keys, I have a keychain of Thompson, like one
yes.
of them. So yeah, actually, give me a second. I'm gonna grab it real quick.
Yep. He's got some things out of me that I've never much mentioned. Yeah, because obviously I'm big on Asterix, because I forget sometimes it's a comic, but it's always a graphic novel that I read.
So yeah, I got this as a gift recently. I could not tell you which one of them it is. I don't know if anyone knows, but it's just a fun little thing I have now.
I like that.
Yeah, it was a gift from my my sister.
Have you ever heard of the Beano comic then, or the Dandy?
I've heard of Beano for sure, but I don't know much about it.
No, that's fair enough. To have someone say they've heard of it, it's like that's brilliant though. So.
You're muted, G-Man.
Any more?
It keeps muting like crazy. All right. We're going to call it. And as we do this, see you next week, Chris.
I should be here.
All right, buddy. Deuce.
Yeah, buddy. I'll be here, buddy.
See you next week. Thank
Yep.
you for being here, guys. Martin, my man.
I'll see everyone on Monday.
Cool. Oh, did it come? Did your box come?
I'll see everyone on Monday. I'll have my video will be out.
So big shout
It's
out.
not here. It comes on Monday. Whether I get to record the video is another thing.
Okay.
I'm just we'll see what happens.
Every once in a while, Alan, you'll see me flow along the bottom. We're saying Splash Page Comics. He's usually, sometimes he's on the show when he can make it. He's going to do a show, I think today at 3:00. It's Splash Page Comics. Monty. Well, he had contests last month, and people entered it, and he gave away like a whole bunch of merch.
Bunch of stuff.
This is one.
Comics,
T-shirt,
everything.
hats, comics.
That's awesome.
And basically what he did was customize it to the winner, whoever won. But you got put into a pool, and you just picked out a ticket, and they had random winners. I was the fourth winner, I think. Jiggs was the first winner, and then there was somebody else in the middle, I can't remember. And then there was Martin. Martin won a box. So we're kind of looking forward to see what he got. That'll be really neat.
Oh, so it's like a surprise?
Yeah, it's a surprise.
Yeah, total surprise.
Very exciting.
So basically, how his questionnaire was for people in the community, you took a comic book card like this, and he had.
You have to do it old school. It's brilliant.
He was very old school, and he said it wasn't treasure hunt, but it pretty much was.
That's so much fun.
Yeah, he answered 15 questions on it. He asked you 15 questions. Only 2 you had to look for. One was on my show, and one was on someone else's show. So you actually had to go watch the show to find out what the question was. After you did that and you wrote them all down, then you sent it to him. You could do some art as a bonus. So you could do art on the back of the card, and then you would be entered. And that's how he did it. And it was really fun, a lot of fun. Monty's a good dude.
I think it's really, I know it's just so great that this community here, like you guys are all like, engaging with each other and supporting each other like that.
Yep.
Just a bunch of geeks. Love it. All right. So with that said, Martin, do you have anything else? And this is your time. So please tell the community about yourself again as we're winding down. And yeah, CJ is.
Yeah, I mean they have like similar body shapes in some way, but yeah, I'll just say that, like, once again, it was a real pleasure to come on here and talk with all you guys, and it goes for those of you just who are watching along as well. As I said to G-Man, like, part of the fun and the joy of becoming an indie comic creator is not just the creation itself, but just getting the chance to, like getting opportunities like this to talk with you guys and meet other people who are just fans of comics and cool people overall. The Shentu Memories of Spring Kickstarter campaign will be going on for another 10 days or so. I am really trying to make a big push of momentum with this to try and, start building up a little bit of a following and hopefully build some momentum for my future projects as well. So if you could check out the Kickstarter, I know, like things are pretty crazy right now. So like truly don't expect anyone to back the campaign. But, if you're able to, like any amount helps. And I mean, you can get the digital version for just $15, which I think is a pretty good deal. And there's some other tiers to explore as well if you're interested.
Thank you so much, Alan. You were awesome guest. And please come back. You got time and you want to just hang out, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, I would love to. Like, this is such a chill, because like, for me, like this, I'm in Vegas. I'm on Pacific time, so it's like just like a nice Saturday morning. It's almost just like watching Saturday morning cartoons in a way. Just like a nice friendly start to the weekend. But yeah, it's been a great time for me.
All right. With that said, I'm gonna make sure I cue this up correctly. Here we go. So hang around. Don't go anywhere, Alan. We kind of have an after party after it's all done with, so don't go anywhere. Okay. Love having you, buddy.
Yep, sounds good.
Thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate it. Guys, as always, rock it out every single time. Alan, it was wonderful having you. Please come back again. And to you, community, you know what I say almost every time now. I'm going to make this punchline. I really appreciate your support. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Links are down below for Alan. Everything down there on the bottom, including in the chat. I'll keep that posted on Rewind so you can actually click on it, and all the stuff on the bottom. So on the top of the chat, that's Kickstarter, so please go check that out. If you're really curious about the book, I'm telling you now, the book is really good. I am going to definitely buy the first one and the second one, hard copies of them. So thank you so much, Alan. Thank you so much, community. I am going to show his intro, and then we're going to be out of here. So thank you. So peace, love, and you know what I always say, you kings and queens, the quest never ends. Peace. See you next Saturday.
Is a talented Chinese-American writer and comic creator. He is based in Las Vegas and has published his first comic series, Shentu. Alan publishes his work through his imprint, Tortoise Hair Comics. In his free time, he enjoys bubble tea and has a fondness for rabbits. About the anthology, Memories of Spring compiles 8 short comics exploring highs and lows in the childhood of Xiaohou. Each 8-page comic tells a complete, self-contained story set in the spring of a different year. Together, these vignettes trace Xiaohou's growth from a little boy into an insufferable tween and then a young man. As the years fly by, Shentu struggles with the pain of knowing that her time with Xiaohou will be all too short.
Do you remember those halcyon days when you were so small? Just the two of us against all the world. You taught me to appreciate simple joys that I had forgotten over my countless years. We weren't perfect, of course. You had your rebellious years, and sometimes I was sure you hated me. We both made mistakes, but we did the best that we could. Day by day, year by year, until before I knew it, you'd grown up. Someday you'll be gone and I'll be alone again. But I'll always cherish those memories we made. Our memories of spring.